All right, so let's explore this topic and this series even more with Star Ledger and NJ.com.
Nice.
How about that?
Nice.
Right off the top. See, one for me. You get one too.
Oh, sweet.
Every one I get, you get two. No, I shouldn't.
No,
I shouldn't.
You don't get one.
I'm gonna use it judiciously.
Gotcha.
5, 4 in 3, 2.
All right, so let's explore this topic and this series even more with Star Ledger Mets beat writer Mike Vorkunov. Mike, good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Well, here it is. You heard Matt Harvey. He says he is going to do what's right. What's your interpretation of what's right? What should be his interpretation of that?
You don't want to say it's obvious, but you read between the lines, and he can't come out and say it. You can't put the scrutiny on yourself right away, but it sure seems like there's something coming for the Dodgers Monday night, retribution of some sort. You know, he went on for a while when someone asked him about retaliation. What are you going to do? And he said, I just want to pitch deep into the game, but I want to do what's right for my teammates. Well, what does that mean after one of your players has his leg broken on a dirty slide?
Well, I mean, he's done this in the past, obviously. Here's one thing, no matter what you think about Matt Harvey, he's a guy who will always stick up for his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't know if it's coincidentally, but the superhero who is associated with the vigilante for justice is the Dark Knight. So
that's right. I mean, you look at April, that first start he had back at Citi Field, 2 Mets players got hit by the Phillies pitchers. Chase Utley, then a Philly, obviously, got one right from Harvey, and he took a pitch to even things up. And Matt Harvey has made this a point throughout his career last year when he wasn't pitching. If you remember, I think one too many times David Wright or some other Met had gotten buzzed, and Harvey said, you know, when I'm back, this isn't happening. I'm going to make sure I protect my guys. And so we've seen that play out in his first start back with the Mets at home, and now he has the opportunity to do it in the playoffs.
I'm just still trying to figure out who is at the heart of the Mets' angst right now. Is it Utley or is it the umpires for the way that they made this call?
Is it a cop-out to say both?
Kind of. I mean, look, it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of both, actually.
They're obviously not happy with Chase Utley. That slide was blatantly in the way of Tejada. He may not have been trying to hurt him, as he says, but when you slide that way, that recklessly into someone, and importantly, Tejada had his back to first base. He had no idea this was coming. Several Mets called him defenseless, which I think seems pretty accurate. You can understand their anger towards Chase Utley, but also the fact that play was reviewed, you know, the fact they decided it was a forced play instead of a neighborhood play, which is not supposed to be reviewed, which is supposed to protect middle infielders in that type of situation. The Mets weren't happy with that because that negates the out. The umpires, if they had wanted to, could have ruled interference for Utley for sliding out of the way of the bag and given them the out that way. And obviously Joe Torre's explanation after the game of why it was overturned was just confusing to everyone involved. Doesn't matter which side you're on.
Yeah, and that's what 8 umpires came up with was the man is safe. But I want to get to what some of the players have been saying. Players around Major Leagues. Justin Upson said, if that was a star shortstop, we would now have a Tulu rule being enforced tomorrow. Glenn Perkins, you change the rule at home. How do you not change the rule at second? It is longstanding that players have policed themselves, but the hit by pitch has been, I guess, the ultimate sentence against a player who makes a mistake. Now that hit by pitch kind of seems to be taken out of the game. Does that take the teeth away from the players a little bit here?
I think it does in a way because they're on such a tighter leash now. You know, what is the way that they can retaliate if they want to? Hitting someone, hitting Adrian Gonzalez, it doesn't seem like it's a tit-for-tat type of situation. And obviously the umpires understand the players, as you said, police themselves, and they'll give them one of those types of plays a game, and then everyone gets a warning. It's all very tight from there. And if you're the Mets, how does that seem fair, or how does that seem equal? And so there's no other way or avenue you have to explore to try to get that type of retaliation.
I mean, unless you get yourself in a double play situation and then all of a sudden you decide you want to take out the second baseman or shortstop of them.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this series got a little bit testy. You know,
right.
You're not going to try to make it malicious because that would obviously be dangerous and obvious. But I wouldn't be surprised if guys go harder into second base now. If those type of near plays, you know, everything just gets a little more animated.
Are you kidding me? You should have seen Mets fans in the East Village. I can only imagine what Mets fans in Queens were doing last night after that game. I can only imagine what Mets players are feeling. We heard Kelly Johnson's reaction, Michael Kadyr's reaction, David Wright from both sides of things. It's really amazing. But Does the fact that Game 3 is 48 hours after the fact kind of help cooler heads prevail a little here?
You would think so. It also lets them stew. You know, they have 48 hours now where everyone has been talking about this, right? What has been the dominant storyline in all of baseball for the last day? It's been that slide. The Mets have been asked and been talking about it repeatedly, and it keeps getting ingrained in their mind. You know, what happens Saturday night. So maybe it lets them get away from it, but also there's no reminder that's stopping it.
Let's not forget, this is an all-important Game 3. This is Matt Harvey against Brett Anderson, and the Mets at home have the possibility to really put the stranglehold on the Dodgers.
And Game 3 plays into their advantage so much. They have Matt Harvey on the mound, who's their ace, and you have Brett Anderson, who's, you know, an above-average left-handed pitcher. But this is what you want. This is how their rotation sets up so well against the Dodgers, because you can have games 1 and 2. You can pitch Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke almost even, which they did. But then you have this big advantage in Game 3, and where you can turn things in your favor if you're the Mets by having, you know, the Dark Knight out there.
Well, it's going to be entertaining, and we are looking forward to it. He is Mets beat writer for Star Ledger and NJ.com, Mike Vorkunov. Thanks so much for coming in, man.
It was great. Thanks for having me.